Welcome to r/, Am I the Butthole, where OP's house gets stolen. Am I the butthole for refusing to let my kids see my mother after she sold the house that I paid for? For nearly 9 years, I lived in and paid for a home under the agreement that once it was paid off, my mother would transfer the title to me. The home was in her name, but I covered the mortgage, lot rent, and all expenses. I also put my own money into renovations and repairs like new flooring, light fixtures, refinishing cabinets, replacing appliances, and fixing the oven. My mom originally bought the home in 2015, planning to leave her husband. When she changed her mind about the divorce, she offered it to me, saying it was a great way to invest my money into something for my future. I agreed and moved in, believing I was working towards ownership. In 2022, the roof started leaking. I called my mom for advice, but she didn't know anyone who could do small repairs. My boyfriend at the time, who had roofing experience, helped me fix it, and I paid for all the materials. Later, she insisted on sending out someone she knew to check the roof. Since the home was in her name, I couldn't stop her. She then decided to have the entire roof replaced without my consent. When I asked about the cost, she brushed it off, saying, "Don't worry, God always provides." In early 2023, she suddenly demanded $3,000 for the roof, despite never discussing payment beforehand. I told her this felt unfair since I never agreed to it. I offered to make monthly payments, but she was furious. By early 2024, I was less than $3,500 away from fully paying off her home. I was ready to be done with all the drama. But then, in February 2024, my mom raised the roof cost by an additional $1,500, bringing it to $4,500, and added other random fees, telling me I had 1 week to pay over $20,000 or move out. I was stunned. I asked why, and all she said was, "The choice is yours to make. You just have to decide what path to take." No explanation, just an ultimatum. When I refused, she started making my life hell. In April 2024, she showed up unannounced and refused to leave until the police made her. At that point, I had no choice. I packed up my kids and moved out on May 1st, 2024. Not long after, she sold the home that I had spent nearly a decade paying for, keeping all the money for herself. Now, my family says that I'm the bad guy for cutting her off and keeping her grandkids away, but my kids want nothing to do with her. They were old enough to understand what happened and felt just as betrayed as I did. To make things worse, she's been showing up uninvited to my kids' events and causing scenes. I'm now looking into legal options to keep her away, as I don't want her forcing her way back into their lives. My family says I should just move on because it's not worth losing family over, but I can't just forget about all the money I put into that home. It's been almost a year, and I'm now seeking legal advice because I refuse to let her get away with it. I feel like I owe her nothing at this point, but my family keeps guilt-tripping me, saying that I'm being too harsh. Am I the butthole for refusing to let my kids see my mother and not just moving on like my family wants to? What I want to know is, why is it OP's obligation to move on and accept it, but the mom isn't obligated to move on and accept the fact that she can't see her grandkids? Huh? Why the double standard? Now, OP, I don't want to blame you, but realistically, it was very dumb to enter this agreement without some sort of formal contract. I know contract with family feels a little bit icky, but hey, if you don't do it, then this is the situation you end up in. Still, I'm pretty sure you have a pretty solid case for suing her because you put your own money into the house, and as long as you have, receipts, then I think you could probably take her to court and get the money back. So, OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your mom 3 out of 5 buttholes. What's really weird to me is that she wants to spend time with you and or your kids, but then also she kicked you and your kids out of their home that they've been growing up in for the past decade. Super weird behavior. Am I the butthole for yelling at my friends and leaving dinner after they all made fun of me and gave me a gay intervention? I'm a 21-year-old woman, and I went out to dinner with 5 friends. 1 guy, 4 girls. For context, I look very masculine. Short hair, deep voice, no makeup, masculine style. Sometimes I get mistaken for a man. Usually, if it's by someone I'm never going to see again, like a cashier or a waiter, I don't really care to correct them. My friends and I were having dinner at a nice fancy place, and the waiter came to our table and he mistook me for a man. One of my friends responds, "Oh, she's not a man, she's just a lesbian." Everyone laughs and the waiter apologized. After he left, I asked my friend, "Why'd you say that?" I had never said or indicated in any way that I'm a lesbian, because I'm not. I've never had a boyfriend, but that's because I'm not interested in a romantic relationship. But we have talked about male celebrities we find attractive. I thought it was clear that I was straight. My friend rolled her eyes at my question and said, "Oh, come on, we all know you're a lesbian." I was shocked. More friends jumped in and said, "Yeah, you don't have to lie to us." But I wasn't lying. They started making jokes about me dressing like a lesbian, hiding my sexuality, being in a glass closet. Everyone knows. It's 2025, no one cares, etc. It all seemed like it wasn't a joke, and they actually believed it. One of my friends, Eva, even joked, "You were obviously in love with Enos." I showed genuine shock at this remark, and she reassured me, "It's okay, we all don't mind if you're gay." Enos was an on and off again childhood friend of mine, and our friendship ended badly a few months ago. I was very upset by it and confided in my friends. I never thought they would use it against me. I told them firmly that I'm not a lesbian. This isn't funny, and I am not in love with Enos. Once they saw I was being serious about it, their tone and attitude became less jokey. They started lecturing me on self-acceptance, being in denial, internalized homophobia. I'm not homophobic, heteronormativity, compulsory heterosexuality, etc. It was like some sort of gay intervention. I found it absolutely ridiculous. I yelled at them for being bad friends because I couldn't even dress how I want or talk to them about my troubles, and I left the restaurant. It's the morning after, and I have serious regrets. I don't know what to say to them and what to do. Okay, the problem here isn't really that they thought you were a lesbian. I think, let's be honest, most people probably would have assumed something similar to that in their situation. The problem is that they weren't listening to you. They were arguing with you about who you are and just not really being great friends. So for that, I'm giving them 1 out of 5 buttholes. You get 0 out of 5 buttholes. You didn't really do anything except just sit there while other people made incorrect assumptions about you. Am I the butthole for calling Child Protective Services on my own family and asking to be removed from our house? My parents have 4 kids. There's me, a 16-year-old boy, and I'm the oldest. And then I have 2 younger sisters, 13 and 10, and a younger brother who's 12. Our dad drinks a lot. He's had issues with alcohol for as long as I can remember. He doesn't work, doesn't do anything around the house, never talks to any of us, and leaves it all on my mom. Except my mom puts a lot of it on me. For a long time, I did it willingly, and I wanted to keep us all together. But I started to feel resentful in the last 2 years, and then I realized if I wanted a better life, I needed out, and I needed to stop things staying the same. My siblings have no expectation of helping. My mom said there can be too many people helping, and it needs to just be me. So I was making after-school snacks and getting dinner ready for when mom got home. I was left in charge if my mom wasn't home for any reason, even if dad was there, because we never knew when he'd just get up and go to the bar. I had to make sure homework was done before mom got home, and I had to forge her signature on stuff, with mom's permission, because she wanted to come home and relax after a long day at work. My mom left me in charge of paying the bills online too. She had a checklist for me, and once a month I had to go through the list and pay them all off. If we didn't have enough, I needed to get my siblings and go to the bank and deposit more money to my parents' account. Sometimes that meant looking for my dad's wallet and taking money from him, and other times it meant taking from my minimal savings to use that. I have no savings left because of this. On weekends, I still got put in charge of feeding my siblings, sometimes my parents too. I found out my mom was eating out frequently on weekends while running errands. And that pisses me off because we struggled with money a lot and we had more than I realized. She just used the money to spoil herself. The other thing was she would bring home snacks for my siblings but wouldn't bring me anything. She was also giving them money behind my back, and again, nothing for me. Then my siblings wanted to do more stuff. And my mom slowly started putting the responsibility of walking them to those places on me. She had a car, but she'd tell me she would need a break and stuff. There were nights that she would go out with her friends too, and some nights she didn't even come home or got back at 5 a.m. But if I asked for permission to sleep at a friend's house or see a movie with my friend, she would tell me that we didn't have the money and she couldn't without me. My siblings got to hang out with her friends if they wanted to, but my mom always had excuses for why I couldn't. She started going out more frequently, sometimes with my dad. I tried talking to my mom, but she didn't care about giving me time off. All she would talk about was how hard she worked her butt off for us. And she would tell me I was young and didn't get stressed as much or need breaks like someone older. My grades started slipping this year. It was too much for me to keep up with, and my mom got an email about it, and she refused to speak to my guidance counselor about it. The guidance counselor set up a meeting. She didn't say anything to me. I was told by my guidance counselor in November about it. I asked mom why, and she said the reality is that I might need to drop out anyway, so why would she waste her time? I sat on that for a few weeks, and then I spoke to my school about everything. My guidance counselor called CPS, and so did one of my teachers. But then I called and told them everything, and I talked about there not being food in the house because at that point there wasn't, and how we didn't even have enough money in our school lunch accounts. Someone from CPS came, and I begged them to take me. There were several visits before I was actually removed. My siblings weren't removed because my mom put money in their accounts after the initial CPS visit. And she explained that she had called the schools before and had allowed the accounts to be overdrawn, and she paid it off after a few weeks. CPS is still involved, but I'm staying with a family member. CPS is trying to reunite me, but I've said that I don't want to go back. On top of all the stuff with my parents, my siblings have turned into really awful people who don't give an F about me. I guess our parents taught them that. But I don't feel the need to save them anymore, or even care if they get put through what I was. At the start of the month, my mom and siblings figured out that I was the one who called. Some of the details brought up finally connected in their heads, and they're pissed at me. My mom said that I was doing better than a lot of kids, and my actions came across as being those of a spoiled brat. She told me the fact that I asked to be removed spoke about what my character is and how easy I find it to abandon my family. Am I the butthole? OP, you're less of a child in this story and more of like an indentured servant who works for no pay, no respect, no anything really. So I say go ahead and move out. Clearly you know how to take care of yourself, so I don't see the issue. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Your parents get 4 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for giving my daughter presents meant for my husband's side piece? Back in 2018, we went on a Christmas trip to see my now ex-husband's sister. My ex-husband's name is Joe and his sister is Jill. My husband was acting strange and wouldn't talk to me. His sister, whom I'd only met one time before, ignored me. We had presents sent to her house so we didn't have to pack them. I was wrapping presents and Joe and Jill went outside for a period. He wouldn't tell me what they were talking about. When we went to pack up, Joe was very concerned about his backpack. Only he could touch it. I thought that was odd, but whatever. A month prior to leaving, I found a prepaid card in his wallet. I took it to see what he would say. He asked about it and said that it was for work. I pretended to find it and gave it back to him. About a week later, I asked if he was having an affair. He said no, and I dropped it. We had not been in love for quite a while, and I knew that we were heading towards divorce. Upon returning from the trip, something told me to look in his backpack. So while he was showering, I looked and found 2 bracelets and a gift bag. I took the 2 bracelets and hid them. All was well until he went to the car to leave. He came storming in, demanding I give the bracelets back. I simply replied, "What bracelets?" He said he bought them for me for our anniversary next month. He knows I don't wear bracelets and actually hate them. And why would he be freaking out if the bracelets were for me 1 month later? He stormed out and we didn't talk about it again. I was finally able to get into his phone and discovered text messages confirming the affair. Part of me didn't care because we weren't in love, but I still felt betrayed. 2 years later, we divorced. I was cleaning out our rooms helping him pack. We had a very amicable divorce. While cleaning, I found the 2 bracelets I'd hid years ago and forgot about. I didn't want them, but our middle child, a 15-year-old girl, loves jewelry. We were separated, but decided to have Christmas at the house together. So Christmas morning comes, and the kids are opening gifts. The look on Joe's face as our daughter opens the bracelets was priceless. They were rose gold, her favorite. My daughter's face was beaming with joy. He sat there looking at the jewelry like a deer in headlights. Well, OP, your husband said the bracelets are for you, and it's fairly common for mothers to give some of their jewelry to their daughters, so I don't see the problem here. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your cheating husband 3 out of 5 buttholes.
That was rSlash Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.